Before we discuss a few questions from past question papers, let's first look at the probability questions in a few past question papers. And the first question paper that we are looking at is November 2015's question paper. And in this question paper, probability was in question 9, and question 9 counted 17 marks. The next question paper that we will look at is November 2016's question paper. And in this question paper, probability was question 9, and this question counted. Then November 2017's question paper. In this question paper, probability was question 8, that counted 11 marks, and question 9, that counted 11 marks as well. So you can see that probability is usually towards the end of the question paper, and it counts more or less 20 marks. In our first question, we are going to look at a past exam question that contains a two-way contingency table. And a two-way contingency table is a table that displays the frequency distribution of two categorical variables, showing the relationship between them by organizing the data into rows and columns. And each cell represents the count of occurrences for the combination of the corresponding categories. So if we look at the table below, it shows data on the monthly income of employed people in two residential areas, Area 1 and Area 2. And in the first column, you can see that they give us the monthly income in rands, and there are three categories. The first category are for the people in these two areas that have a monthly income of less than 3,200 rands. And the second category are for people who earn 3,200 rands or more, but less than 25,600 rands. And then lastly, we have the category for people that earn 25,600 rand or more. If we look at the second column, we have the data for Area 1. There are 500 people who earn less than 3,200 rand, 1,182 people who earn 3,200 rand or more but less than 25,600 rand, and then there are 150 people who earn 25,600 rand or more. And then the total number of people in this area is 1,832. Then for Area 2, there are 460 who earn less than 3,200, 340 who earn 3,200 or more but less than 25,600 rand, and then here are only 14 people who earn 25,600 rands or more. And in total, there are 814 people in Area 2. Then the last column gives us the total in each category. So in total, in the two areas combined, there are 960 people who earn less than 3,200, 1,522 who earn 3,200 rand or more but less than 25,600 rand, and then 164 people who earn 25,600 rands or more. And in total, there were 2,646 people's income that were used in this table. Now let's look at the questions that were asked on this contingency table. In the first question, 9.2.1, they ask us what is the probability that a person chosen randomly from the entire sample will be firstly from Area A. To determine the probability that a person chosen randomly is from Area 1, we go and look in the contingency table for the total number of people in Area 1, and that is 1,832. And we are going to divide this by the total number of people in the sample, and that is 2,600 2,646. And then we are going to write this answer as a percentage, and that is 69.24%. For this question, you get 2 marks. You get 1 mark for 1,832 and 1 mark for 2,646. In the second question, we have to determine the probability that a person chosen randomly from the entire sample will be from area 2 and earn less than 3,200 rands per month. First, we need to determine from the table how many people are from area 2 and earn less than 3,200 rands per month. And we read that in the column of area 2 and the row for less than 3,200 rands per month. And we will find the answer for this over here, and that is 460 people. And now to make it a probability, we divide it by the total number of people in the sample, and that is 2,646. And lastly, we write the answer as a percentage, and that is 17.38%. And for this answer, you get 1 mark. Lastly, we need to determine the probability that a person chosen randomly from the sample will be a person from area 2 who earns more than or equal to 3,200 rands. So we go to column 3 then, the column for area 2, and the number of people who will earn more than 3,200 rands will be the people in the second and the third category. So we take the 340 and we add 14. And then we divide this answer by the total number of people in the sample space, and that is 2,646. This we can also write then as a percentage, and that is 13.38%. And in this question, you get 2 marks for the answer. In this question, we have to prove that earning an income of less than 3,200 rands per month is not independent of the area in which a person resides. Now for this question, let's make the event of a randomly selected person living in area 1 be event A, and let the event of a randomly selected person earning less than 3,200 rands be event B. And if these two events are independent, then the probability of A and B will be equal to the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B. But we have to show that this is not independent or dependent, and we do that by showing that the probability of A and B is not equal to the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B. Now let's first of all go and determine the probability of A and B. And we find event A and B in the column where we have area A1 and the row where we have people earning less than 3,200 rands. And that is 500. And then to get the probability, we divide it by the total number of people in the sample space, 2,646. And that gives an answer of 18.9%. Now we need to determine the probability of A times the probability of B. To determine the probability of A, we look for the total number of people who live in area A1, and that's 1,832. And we divide it by 2,646. Then, for the probability of B, we go and look for the total number of people who earn less than 3,200 rands, and that is 960. And that we divide by 2,646. And when we multiply these two fractions, we get an answer of 25.9%. 0.12%. And this is definitely not equal to the probability of A and B, and therefore A and B are not independent. This question counted 5 marks. You get 1 mark for the probability of A and B, 1 mark for the correct probability of A, 1 mark for the correct probability of B, 1 mark for the answer of the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B, and then 1 mark for the conclusion with justification. In the last question on this contingency table, they ask us which is more likely, a person from Area 1 earning less than 3,200 rands or a person from Area 2 earning less than 3,200 rands. And we have to show calculations to support our answer. Now let's first determine the probability that an Area 1 person earns less than 3,200 rands. So we go to the Area 1 column, and there are 500 people who earn less than 3,200 rands. But now, since they tell us it has to be an Area 1 person, we are now going to divide it by the total number of people in Area 1. So the probability is then 500 divided by 1,832, and that gives a percentage of 27.29%. Then we determine the probability that an Area 2 person earns less than 3,200 rand. So now we go to the Area 2 column, and there are 460 people in Area 2 that earn less than 3,200 rands, and now we divide it by the total number of people in Area 2, and that is 814, and that gives us a percentage of 56.51%. And now we can clearly see that a person from Area 2 is more likely to earn less than 3,200 rands. This question counted 3 marks, and you get 1 mark for 27.29%, 1 mark for 56.51%, and then 1 mark for the conclusion. Let's look now at a question where we have to use a tree diagram to solve the problem. A bag contains 3 blue marbles and 2 red marbles. A marble is taken from the bag, the color is recorded, and the marble is put aside. A second marble is taken from the bag, the color is recorded, and then put aside. It's very important to note that the marble is put aside, because that means that the one event is going to influence the second event, and therefore these 2 events are not independent. It is dependent. And now we first have to draw a tree diagram to represent the information above, and we have to show the probabilities associated with each branch, as well as the possible outcomes. When the first marble is drawn, there are 2 possible outcomes. Either a blue marble is going to be drawn, or a red marble is going to be drawn. So the first section of the tree diagram looks like this. And when you draw the second marble, you are again going to have 2 possible outcomes, either blue or red. Now let's look at the probabilities for each branch. When you draw the first marble, the probability to draw a blue marble is going to be 3 out of 5, or 0.6. The probability to draw a red marble will be 2 out of 5. There are 2 red marbles, and you have 5 marbles in total, and that is 0.4. Now they say that the marble is put aside, and now we are going to look at the second draw. If you first drew a blue marble, the probability of drawing a blue marble again is now going to be 2 out of 4. There are 2 blue marbles left, and there are only 4 marbles in total, and that equals 0,5. The probability that the second marble will be red if the first marble was blue will also be 2 out of 4. There are 2 red marbles, but now there are only 4 marbles to choose from, and that also equals 0,5. If the first marble was red, the probability of drawing a blue marble will be 3 out of 4. There are still 3 blue marbles, but now there are 4 marbles in total, and that's 0,75. And then lastly, if the first marble was red, the probability that the second marble is red is going to be 1 out of 4, and that equals 0,25. And now we need to write down all the possible outcomes. It's going to be blue and blue, or blue and red, or red and blue, or red and red. Let's look now at the mark allocation. This question counted 3 marks. You get 1 mark for the correct branches, 1 mark if all the probabilities are correct, and then 1 mark for all the outcomes. In the next question, we need to determine the probability of first taking a red marble and then taking a blue marble in that order. So let's look at the tree diagram. The probability of first taking a red marble is 2 out of 5, or 0.4. And then after that, taking a blue marble is 3 over 4, or 0.75. So the probability of taking a red marble first and then a blue marble is then 2 over 5 times 3 over 4, and that gives us 3 over 10. This question counted 2 marks. You get 1 mark for 2 over 5 times 3 over 4 and 1 mark for 3 over 10. In this question, we will see the difference between mutually exclusive and independent events. They say A and B are 2 events. The probability that event A will occur is 0,4, and the probability that event B will occur is 0,3. The probability that either event A or event B will occur is 0.58. And we first need to determine whether events A and B are mutually exclusive. Remember, for mutually exclusive events, the probability of A and B is equal to 0. So let's determine the probability of A and B and see whether it's equal to 0. To determine the probability of A and B, we are going to use the following principle that says that the probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. We know that the probability of A or B is equal to 0.58. The probability of A is 0.4 and the probability of B is 0.3. So we put all of these values into the equation and then we make the probability of A and B the subject of the equation. So that then means that the probability of A and B is going to be equal to 0.4 plus 0.3 minus 0.58. And that equals 0,12, and this is not equal to 0. Therefore, events A and B will not be mutually exclusive. And for this question, you get 3 marks. 1 mark for 0.58 equals 0.4 plus 0.3 minus the probability of A and B. 1 mark for 0,12 and then 1 mark for the conclusion. Now we need to determine if events A and B are independent. And we do that by determining the probability of A and B and the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B. And if these two answers are equal, events A and B are independent. From the previous question, we know that the probability of A and B is 0,12. And now we are going to determine the probability of A times the probability of B. And that equals 0,4 times 0,3. And that also equals 0,12. Therefore, the probability of A and B is equal to the probability of A times the probability of B. And therefore, A and B are independent events. Let's look at the mark allocation. For this question, you get 1 mark for 0,4 times 0,3. 1 mark for the probability of A and B equals the probability of A times the probability of B. And then 1 mark for the conclusion. In our last question, we will be looking at a Venn diagram. And here they give us a Venn diagram, and it says that a survey was done among a group of 75 learners to determine which sports they watch on television. They chose from athletics A, netball N, and rugby R. And then they give us some information that was collected. In the next slide, we will be indicating all of this on the given Venn diagram below. Let's now indicate all the given information on the Venn diagram and try to interpret it. It says that the survey was done among a group of 75 learners. So the sample space will consist out of a total of 75. Then they say 12 learners watch netball, rugby, and athletics, and that is indicated by the 12 in the middle where all 3 of the ovals intersect. Then they say 25 learners watch rugby and athletics, and rugby and athletics is indicated here, and it's the intersection between A and R. So from this, we can say that 12 plus B will be equal to 25. Then they say 22 learners watch netball and athletics. So if we look at the intersection of N and A, we have A and 12 in the intersection. So the sum of A and 12 has to be equal to 22. Then 38 learners watch rugby. So that means then that everything inside rugby or R has to be equal to 38. So if we determine the sum, it's B plus C plus 5 plus 12 equals 38. Then they say 5 learners watch only netball and rugby. So you can see over here in the intersection of N and R, that is not included in the intersection with A, there is 5. Then 9 learners watch netball only, that's indicated over here. And then 4 learners watch athletics only. Now that we've indicated all the information on the Venn diagram, let's determine the values of A, B, C, and D. To determine the value of A, we take the equation A plus 12 equals 22, and we solve for A. So A will be equal to 22 minus 12, and that equals 10. To determine the value of B, we use the equation 12 plus B equals 25, and we solve for B. So B is equal to 25 minus 12, and that is equal to 13. Now that we have the values for A and B, we can determine the value for C. And we use the equation C plus B plus 5 plus 12 equals 38. We know that the value of B is 13, so C plus 13 plus 5 plus 12 is equal to 38. Then C is going to be equal to 38 minus 13 minus 5 minus 12. And therefore, the value for C is equal to 8. Then we need to determine the value of D, and we know that the total number of learners in the sample space is 75. We know the values of A, B, and C, and now we can determine the value for D. So we add up everything in the sample space and we put that equal to 75, and then D is equal to 75 minus all the values in the sample space, and that will give us an answer of 14. This question counted 4 marks. You get 1 mark for A equals 10, 1 mark for B equals 13, 1 mark for C equals 8, and 1 mark for D equals 14. Now we need to calculate the probability that a learner selected at random watches athletics or both netball and rugby. So let's go and look at the Venn diagram. The number of learners who watches athletics is everything in A, and that is 10 plus 12 plus 13 plus 4, and that gives a total of 39. So we take 39 and we divide it by 75 to get the probability. But now they say or, N, and R. So now we look for the intersection of N and R that is excluded from A. And in the intersection of N and R, outside of A, there are 5 learners. And this probability will then be 5 over 75. When we add these two fractions, it gives us 44 over 75, and this can be written as a decimal, 0,59 rounded to 2 decimal places. This question counted 3 marks. You get 1 mark for 39 over 75, 1 mark for 5 over 75, and 1 mark for 0.59.
And that's a wrap on today's fascinating journey through the world of knowledge. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our ever-growing community of curious minds. We can't wait to embark on new educational adventures together.